Welcome back in. Today we're going to be discussing Saquon Barkley and his 2024 fantasy outlook. Now, over the offseason, unless you're living under a rock, Saquon Barkley signed with the New York Giants on a 3-year, $37 million contract, with $26 million of that being guaranteed to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, there's a lot of narratives that have been going around this offseason about Saquon Barkley and people pushing back on any excitement for Saquon Barkley within this Philadelphia Eagle offense. While some of it may be true, I think there's also just being overblown here and how much it actually is going to affect Saquon Barkley. So what we should be expecting this year, first, he is entering an offense with a quarterback who doesn't typically check down all that often. While that is one of the narratives that I will typically agree with, but you're not giving all of the context behind that. While Jalen Hurts only checked down 6 total times last year on 270 dropbacks, only 2% of his total dropbacks, and only CJ Stroud actually checked down less than he did. That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't target the running backs out of the backfield either. DeAndre Swift saw a 10% target share last year, or 3.1 targets per game, which that's only about 1.2 targets per game less than Saquon Barkley, but he also only ran 44% of the routes. You also had Kenneth Gainwell, who's involved as a pass catcher, who saw a 7% target share and ran 34%. The Eagles also ranked 19th in total targets to the running backs last season, and I don't think it's impossible to think that he can't match the 4.1 targets Saquon saw last season. And so I do think that some of that is being a little bit overblown. I definitely think targets there to go to Saquon Barkley where he could see, 70, 75 targets this year. Because I don't think that you're going to be seeing Kenneth Gainwell running 30, 40% of the routes like he did last year when they had DeAndre Swift. They didn't pay Saquon Barkley all this money and invest in him to make him be in some just committee back. I don't see that happening either. Now, the other conversation is the touchdown upside. The presence of Jalen Hurts also is a strong narrative being pushed this offseason, due in large part because of the tush push. However, Jason Kelsey is gone. This could be something we see less of out of the Philadelphia Eagles this year because Jason Kelsey was a pretty important part of that. Last season, Hurts did, though, have the 6th most carries inside the 5-yard line with 16. However, the part in the context that people are leaving out whenever they're discussing this is that DeAndre Swift received 27 carries inside the 10 last year. Saquon Barkley only saw 15 last year himself, and this was a player that handled all of the work in the backfield. And then you also had DeAndre Swift receiving 10 carries inside the 5-yard line, which is also top 12 among all running backs. But he only converted 2 of those into touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, on his 6 carries last year, he saw inside the 5-yard line. He converted 4 of those into touchdowns. So while we're talking about this, there's definitely going to be opportunity there for Saquon Barkley to see goal line. Now, when we talk about the tush push, because the offensive line is going to be different this year. Obviously, Jason Kelsey is retiring, and how does this affect him? Cam Jurgens is now going to be moving over from right guard. He's going to be playing center as Jason Kelsey's replacement. But Cam Jurgens only has 45 NFL snaps at center, and now you're going to be having Tyler Steen step in as the likely right guard, but he only has 71 career offensive snaps as well. And so he is extremely raw and didn't really play very well in the limited opportunities that he saw. So he's definitely going to have to step up. But this still should be an incredible offensive line because they still have Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, and Landon Dickerson here on this offensive line. So this offensive line still should be a top 5, top 10 offensive line heading into 2024, which is something that Saquon Barkley has never had in his entire career. Running behind an actual efficient offensive line, something that can open up consistent holes for him to be able to do that. Saquon Barkley isn't necessarily the best in between the tackles runner. He is much better when you get him out in space and you open things up. And what is something we always talk about? We always talk about mobile quarterbacks and how they help running backs because they open up these holes. And now you're going to have Saquon Barkley back here with Jalen Hurts. And the thing that blows my mind is that everybody is so excited about Derrick Henry, who is 30 years old and 3 years older than Saquon Barkley is, because he's getting to play next to Lamar Jackson. Now, I understand Lamar Jackson isn't the same type of quarterback as Jalen Hurts in terms of getting those goal line carries and the short yardage touches that Jalen Hurts does. But still, the same logic applies, though, for Saquon Barkley getting to play next to a mobile quarterback. It is going to only make him more explosive and more efficient and more effective because you can no longer load the box against Saquon Barkley anymore like you could have when he was with the Giants because he was the only weapon you were trying to stop. That is no longer the case with what you can do with Saquon Barkley. So while, yes, Saquon Barkley might lose a little bit in terms of overall volume or touchdown upside, I think he can make up for in just the total amount of opportunities that he's going to be able to have because he's in a much better offense with a much better offensive ecosystem. That being said, I have no problem, in half-point PPR leagues, taking Saquon Barkley at the back half of the first or the early second round of where he's being going. Of course, I value a couple other guys ahead of him, but Saquon Barkley is in a fine spot. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts about Saquon Barkley? Do you agree? Do you disagree with some of the things I said? Let me know in the comment section below and let us know who's the next guy you want us to cover in these player profile series that we're doing. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.